Good evening, San Bernardino. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I will make sure that we are fully live and everybody can see and hear and watch. So I hope you guys are having a very happy Tuesday. It feels so much later in the week. I don't even know, it's just nonstop, nonstop. So I guess as the holidays approach, this is really what it's going to feel like. And then, all of a sudden it'll be the end of the year. So let's make sure we're all together. Okay, here we are. All right. So tonight we are going to cover the agenda for the meeting that is coming up tomorrow night for the city council. Again, this is going to cover closed session and open session. And for those of you that have asked, yes, I'm so excited that I'm able to be back and doing agenda reviews during the week when I officially become a city council person in the 7th Ward after the swearing in. I will be continuing to do agenda reviews. There's some people that have asked for it to be in person and then others for it to remain on Zoom. So I'm going to work that out, but nonetheless, we will continue to have our time so we can go over everything. And even if you're not in the 7th Ward, you're always welcome to come and review the agenda with me. So hi, Scott. Thanks for joining. Okay, so let's go to the agenda. There's quite a bit going on and just want to make sure everybody can see it. So here we go. All right. So we have the Wednesday, November 20th, which is tomorrow, 4 p.m. Closed session begins, and then at 5 p.m. open session. And this is taking place at the Feldham Library at 555 West 6th Street. So same place, same channel, same time. Now going into closed session, which begins at 4 o'clock, there are two items on the agenda. One is the closed session item for legal existing litigation, and that is Don Smith versus John Valdivia in his individual and official capacity at all San Bernardino Superior Court. If you remember, this is Don Smith is a previous employee of the previous mayor, John Valdivia, who ended up filing a lawsuit against him individually and as mayor for a hostile work environment. And Don had made his claims that Valdivia was taking him around, had sat him with him in different spaces, taking cash bribes. I mean, just an unbelievable case. And so this was also in conjunction during the time when John Valdivia was sexually harassing his three female employees. And then there's also another case where his chief of staff, if you guys remember, Matt Brown, has also filed a case. I don't see that for this one, but this is specifically for Don Smith. So that's what that is. And if you want to comment on that, you can come at 4 o'clock and then submit a closed session public comment. Hi, Rob. Hi, Larea. Thank you guys for joining. And then the next closed session item is the public employee performance evaluation. And this is for the city attorney. And it says the city attorney initiated their own performance evaluation. That's interesting and sounds extremely conflicting considering they are also on a discussion item to be terminated. So what I am now that I'm reading this, looking at is that the city attorney is now telling the council that they have to be evaluated. So I'm not sure if the city attorney believes they're running the city or if our council is in charge, because that is very weird. It would normally be the city council initiating the performance evaluations, not just of the city attorney's office, but also the city manager and city clerk, which is all under their hiring purview. So I find this quite problematic, as well as interesting that the city attorney would put their own evaluation on after the mayor has requested the termination of their contract. So if you would like to at all add to your comments to their performance evaluation, you are also welcome to come at 4 o'clock and sign up to speak directly to that. Now remember, closed session public comments can only address the items that are on closed session. It's different than open session. So, okay, those are the two things coming up between 4 and 5 o'clock. Then at 5 p.m., we will start the regular meeting. We will have an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Then they will give the closed session report. And then there are two presentations, a proclamation for Family Caregivers Month in the city of San Bernardino, and then a proclamation for Small Business Saturday in the city of San Bernardino. That's a lot of fun and a good one. So they will be doing their awards, and you can come and watch. Hi, Anna. Thank you for joining. Then after that, the city manager through the PIO will give their updates on what's happening throughout the city. I think it's going to be interesting. They're going to be going over probably the Paris Hill Park cleanup, and we're going to have our own discussion on that because there's a lot of issues coming out of what we asked for, which was a clean park, but also, you know, the effects of it. And then after that, there will be public comments for items listed on and off the agenda. So at this point, if you have signed up, you can speak about anything that's on the agenda or anything that is, you know, not. And this is, you get your 3 minutes unless the mayor cuts your public comments, then you get whatever time's allotted to you. But more than likely, we get our 3 minutes. And they go into the consent calendar. So the consent calendar are items that consists of items that should not be controversial. They should be kind of things that you could look at and move on without a big discussion. They're supposed to be non-discussion items. And we go through this because, as we have seen time and time again, there are things that I believe are discussions. And they just get put here. So it's good that the community keeps their eyes on everything. So hi, Tim. Hi, Keith. Thank you guys for joining. So the first item on the consent calendar is approval of various mayor and city council meeting minutes. They are approving minutes from September 1st of 2021 and October 20th of 2021. Now, I have spoken on this publicly, as others of you have. It is unbelievable to me that we are approving minutes 3 years later. I understand the justification that there is a firm doing this or another company. This is the official record of the meetings. And I have watched the city clerk's budget increase and staff increase. And yet I just cannot understand watching these things come 3 years later. And it worries me because there was one specific meeting, and finally the minutes are coming through on that I really wanted to see the payroll register, and I really wanted to see the nuances, and I wasn't able to find that. So this is going to be a topic for me. I just want you to know that. As a council person, the meeting minutes are going to be a real life discussion. So they're in here. You can read them and see what it has taken 3 years. So that's going to be one thing to address. And then the First Amendment to the American Rescue Plan Act subaward agreement with the Lutheran Social Services of Southern California. And this is approved the amendment number 1 to the subaward agreement for Lutheran Social Services to use American Rescue Plan funds for the operation costs of 140 beds in San Bernardino Community Wellness Center on Lutheran Social Services privately owned property on North G Street, and authorize the city manager or their designee to take any further actions and execute any additional agreements or documents as necessary, including minor and substantive changes. Now, here's, I support this. I think this is important, but I think we need to look at it. So let's make sure that we cover this section. So we're going to go to page 52, and we're going to see what we're allocating. So on December 7th, 2022, The mayor and city council approved allocating $5 million in ARPA funds to the Lutheran Social Services for a pre-development construction and operation of the San Bernardino Wellness Center. The Home Key Grant Award fully funds construction. And Exhibit E, Section G.2 of the Home Key Grant Agreement from HCD requires the city to allocate ARPA funding towards operations. Amendment 1 to the sub-award agreement revises the breakdown of the original allocation, whereas all $5 million will now cover the operational costs of the San Bernardino Wellness Center, rather than just $1 million as previously noted. The reasoning behind the city's recommendation to allocate ARPA funds towards operations versus pre-development and construction is due to the state's aggressive 12-month completion timeline for all Home Key projects, and utilizing ARPA funds for operations will not trigger a procurement process since Lutheran Social Services is the sole operator. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Given everything that we just discovered about the Home Key application grant, that we did not seek because of the lack of procurement process, I sincerely hope this this award is absolutely questioned. I really hope that there is a public polling so that we can make sure that this procurement process is in fact, or the lack thereof is in fact legal, because I am absolutely just beside myself with watching and reading emails where the city violated the law over and over and over again. So something like this for me would need to be pulled tomorrow. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining. So yeah, this is why we read this, because this is important information. And remember, we're putting pieces together. So this came out, remember, this came out Friday. So now we have information obtained through public records that causes us to pause and want to check out, like, are we sure we don't need a procurement process? Because you all said we had a sole operator last year, and now you're trying to get rid of them because they're underperforming. Like, that's sometimes say Lutheran Social Services are doing. But again, we need to be on high alert, San Bernardino. We need to absolutely be on high alert that everything that we are asking for and is being allocated is being done correctly. So that is just the second item, number 4. Number 5, award professional service agreement to environmental cleanup for nuisance abatement services, all wards. So approve the award of professional service agreement with environmental cleanup for nuisance abatement in a total not to exceed $655,981.50. Authorize the Director of Finance and Management Services to issue an annual purchase order to the environmental cleanup in the total amount. So I know that abatement and nuisances are a big deal. And so let's just take a quick look at what they're asking for. So the professional agreement with cleanup services is for abating public nuisances and public health hazards citywide. This will allow the nuisance abatement program to address abandoned or burned buildings, accumulation of debris, and overall blight throughout the city. The term of the agreement is for 3 years with 2 one-year options. A purchase order in the amount of $655,981.50 is required for the purchase order. Funding for the abatement services is included in the 24-25 budget, and funds will be recouped as the property owners are billed for services. I like this. I'm happy about this, and I'll tell you why. Because I am not a fan of what I'm seeing on Facebook being posted by code enforcement, where they're showing residential property owners that had brown grass now having turf, when we have literally burnt out buildings throughout the city. We have commercial corridors that are completely falling apart with homeless people, and we're worried about if you're watering your lawn or not, or if you have desert landscape. Like, this is the priority we really need to approach and address. So I'm happy about this. So okay, this is a good one. All right. Next, we are going to look at the motel vouchers. So amendment to number 1 to the motel voucher program professional services agreement with Andin Patel. Approve the amendment number 1 and provide for the provision of 130 motel rooms and 200 beds to extend their agreement to 2026. So look at this. Let's look at this. All right. This is really important because right now we know that we are trying to, at the very least, provide hotel vouchers to the unhoused people out there. And so the city of San Bernardino currently operates a motel voucher program, which provides temporary shelter interim housing to unhoused residents. The amendment extends the program terms through December 31, 2026, and expands the number of available bedrooms through agreements with Andin Patel's Motel, Pan Am included Namaste Style Inc., and San Bernardino Hotel North LLC. Following the cancellation of the city's contract with Century RSVP LLC. This expansion increases capacity to 130 motel rooms and 200 beds to ensure adequate shelter options and the timely expenditure of grant funds. Due to the lack of available shelter beds in the city, distributing motel vouchers will help keep people off the streets during development and construction of the SB Hope campus, the city's permanent navigation center. This amendment will allow the city to continue providing essential services to those in need during this transition period. Here's my issue. Not that I don't support the voucher. We are extending this for 2 years because the city doesn't have a plan to address homelessness. And let's be honest, this navigation center that everybody has been trying to break ground on or reestablish isn't sufficient because we can't wait 2 years. And I am just so disappointed because we have said this time and time and time and time again that this is a revolving door. Vouchers put people back on the streets. Eventually, the space is going to run out. And look, the city is not at all known for its follow through. So, watching us extend this term to give ourselves 2 years to get something going, not so much. And the cost, like this is let's look at this, okay? Let's look at the background. The City of San Bernardino's Motel Voucher Program is a critical initiative designed to provide temporary shelter and supportive services to individuals experiencing homelessness. The development and implementation of the Motel Voucher Program has progressed through several key council actions. In 2022, the city hosted a homeless workshop. In December 2022, the City Council demonstrated their commitment to addressing homelessness by allocating $12.5 million in ARPA funding to the development and operation of a low-barrier, non-congregate navigation center. That was great. That was 2 years ago. They did that. Then they declared a state of emergency in 2023, and they did nothing for 2 years. And then in July of 2023, the city council amended a $9.7 million in permanent local housing funds, of which 1.2 million was reallocated to support interim shelter activities, which didn't happen. Then in August of 2023, the mayor and city council approved a substantial amount of 2020-2021 annual action plan to reallocate 1.1 million in community block grant funds and then support interim shelter activities. And then in 2023, the city released an initial request for proposals seeking motel operators to participate in a motel voucher program. 4 proposals were received, and with 2 motels located outside the city. The city decided not to go outside of its borders because otherwise people were going to come inside our borders. And the total amount of this program for allocation was 3 million. Then between December 6th and December 22nd, 2023, an expedited RFP was issued and completed, resulting in the selection of Andel Patel's 3 local motels to provide access to 130 rooms and 200 beds. The city entered into an agreement with Andel Patel for the usage of 3 motels for the total of $2.7 million due to an ongoing injunction between the city. The program experienced several months of delay, ultimately launching in July 8th of 2024. The injunction is now lifted and are expected to increase significantly. So this is costing us, as of right now, $2.7 million. What we need to make sure that we keep our eyes on, how much is this going to cost us in the long run? So that's what that one's about. Okay. Let's see. And where was Sonia Carvalho when all of this was going on? Sonia Carvalho is never in the room, apparently. She's nowhere to be found. And that is that our city attorney has made a lot of money while the city has continually decreased. And that is unfortunate because we have the problems that we have. And you can see, Rob, that's my concern, that they need to go after the burned buildings. Oh, and not the dead grass. Yes, I really like the abatement one. I think that's a good one. Okay. Number 7, resolution. Hang on, sorry. Declaring intent to conduct a public hearing to order street vacation of a portion of Lola Place east of North D Street and north of West Baseline and the reservation of utilities therein. So if you are in a portion of Lola Place east of North Street and north of West Baseline, this is something you should look at. But we do this quite often. And then approval of commercial and payroll distributions and purchase card transactions. So I'll show you guys this. I go through these and this is the best way, just so you know. This is really where you can see what the city is spending their money on, what accounts, where things come from, how much payroll is. You know, for the month this is September. So for the month of September, we've expended, $7.2 million in payroll. You can see who received checks. You can see what settlements were paid. Like this is there is very little secrets. And this is what has always amused me in my time of calling things out, is people like, how did you know? It's literally a public record. And so this is what the registrar looks like. You can see what accounts, where things come from, who they go to, elevator service, septic, refrigeration, whatever we need is all right here. We have to keep an accounting of it. So crime scene cleanups, we've had a lot of those. If you see the amount of 5,274 for Angel Heart Biotrauma. And let me tell you, I know the guy that does this, amazing individual, and the stuff that goes on in our city at night, oh my goodness, like I'm so glad we have that. So yeah, but if you ever want to read this, like where the city gave away $800,000 to Steve Kerrigan for quitting his own recruitment, you can see it right there. And that's a really, really sad thing. And it was paid directly to him. So like I said, nothing's a secret. Absolutely nothing. And when the city throws your money away and you have a city attorney who did nothing to stop a fraudulent case, this is why we are probably, I would account for $800,000 in a debt over paying out people who didn't deserve it. So there you go. There's where the money is. When you tell you to follow the money, follow the payroll register. Okay, next, let me go back up. Sorry, I skipped over. Okay. So then we have the investment portfolio, same thing as the payroll distribution. Like you guys can go through that and check it out. Resolution to approve and recognize obligation payment schedules for ROPS. So this is our obligations that we have to put out, Second Department of Finance. And if you're into any of that, it's a good read. So I won't go into it because it's not my forte. but for those of you specialists, have at it. And then number 11, request for purchase authorization to expand cloud-hosted VoIP phone system for the library and parks. So they are going to issue a purchase order in the amount not to exceed $58,166 for voice-operated phone systems in libraries and park and rec. So I support that. And then they're going to accept the 2024 COPS CHP grant. So the Department of Justice and Community Oriented Policing Services grant is going to award appropriation $625,000 in both. Wait, hang on, I'm sorry. The Director of Finance and Services to amend the 2024-25 adopted budget with an appropriation of $625,000 in both revenues and expenditures in grant funds and $432,439 in general fund expenditures and grant match requirements in the police department to increase sworn staffing from 311 to 316. So I think I heard today at Coffee with a Cop that we currently have, I want to say 278 sworn and 15 or 16 currently in the academy. So if everything's working, you know, hopefully we'll keep our numbers increasing. And I think altogether with civilian, we have roughly, don't quote me, I think like 428-ish or more total staff in the police department. So we're doing good things. Amendment number 3 of the agreement with LHA Landscape Architects and Planners. So approve amendment number 3 for professional design services with landscape architects in the amount of $20,000 for Nicholson Park, and then authorize contingencies in the total amount of $5,000 for additional services. So as you guys know, there is a really great initiative and revitalization of Nicholson Park. So they've been working extremely diligently on that. And that's really good to see that that's still moving forward. And award of agreement for construction for connector pipe screen project. So we're going to approve an agreement with United Stormwater in the amount of $112,840 for the connector pipe project, and then contingencies of $27,000. So we're okay there. And then an approval of an agreement for a purchase and implementation of, let's see, what's this? SWARCO McCain for the purchase of Transparity Intersection Management System, licensing and data services for $246,000 for 2070 LX controllers. Just because I have no idea what that is, I think it's probably important that we look at it. So let's go to page 895, and I guess we'll figure out what that's for. And this is the important thing about the backup material, because remember, there's a lot of moving parts. So, okay, this applies to Public Works. I was thinking PD, because I don't know, it sounded sophisticated. And here's where we go. So McCain's Transparity Intersection Management System will enhance, intersection, I guess that makes sense to me, will enhance real-time traffic monitoring, optimize mobility, and improve road safety by integrating all signalized intersections for seamless communication and proactive congestion management. I love that. Signal on and popping. So, okay. This is what that is. It's about Public Works increasing traffic efficiency. Sounds like a great investment to me. And number 16, award the design services agreement for the police locker room renovation. And that's going to not exceed the amount of $549,967 for a locker room renovation. Okay. And number 17, approve a stop sign installation on Harwick Drive and Weir Road and 13th Street and Sierra Way in wards 2 and 3. absolutely support. I think, you know, you gotta slow traffic, make sure everybody's safe. And then there are a couple discussion items. So this is where the council will have an opportunity to talk and accept the fiscal year 2024 COPS technology and equipment funds and purchase data integration software and cameras to support real-time information center. So this is, you know, as you guys know, a big initiative is to in what is a generalization of smart city in using cameras and technology to really help with the policing efforts and keep more eyes on the streets and being able to do the thing, take care of the community that we need to. So I am fully in favor of this investment. I think it's about time. Someone said, what about repairs to roads and sidewalks? So the CIP, and that has already been allocated for the year. So those projects are ongoing. That's why it's not on the agenda. They do that. They pre-allocate those and we'll see them kind of pop up as we go, but during the budget. So as I think probably in the beginning of next year, you'll see like a mid-year budget review, and that's when you should see any more roads and sidewalk repairs. And then when we come into July, or before July, it's really important for you guys to show up and talk about what's important to you. I'll be doing budget meetings in the 7th Ward because I really believe in participatory budgeting so that you can give your feedback on what's important and the type of projects we want to see. So they come up over time. All right, then approval of software and implementation services with Gray Quarter Acela for the integration of land management systems and related staffing actions. So approve the software implementation service of Gray Quarter for the implementation of integrated land management, not to exceed 3.2 million beginning January 1. Authorize the city manager designee to sign the agreement, make ministerial revisions and any subsequent amendments to the scope of work without increase to the contract amount. Authorize the city manager designee to execute 7 optional 1-year amendments at approximately $500,000. I think that's a little excessive for me. I don't know if 7 years, like, maybe we should revisit it after 3. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of like just open something like that. And then authorize the city manager designee to execute a professional service agreement with on-site computing for data conversion services for an amount not to exceed $520,000. And then authorize the city manager designee to execute a professional service agreement with Willdan, CSG Consultant, and Rick Engineering, each for an amount not to exceed $448,000. Let me tell you something. I have not heard the best about the communication and come through of Willdan. So I hope that someone questions that, because I think Councilman Reynoso had questioned us not going out for an RFP with them. And I think we need to look into that. I really do. Over time, Willdan has just, I've heard, is underperforming. And I think it's really important that if we're going to give people money that is from our taxpayers, that we make sure that these people are doing what they need to do. So I'm going to question that one. And then item 20, approval of the ERP migration plan and association agreements with Oracle Cloud data conversion and supplemental staffing services. So technology software system integration not to exceed the amount of $6 million. That's a lot of money. Authorize the city manager designee to sign agreements to make ministerial revisions. Again, execute a 7 optional 1-year amendments at approximately $500,000. I just think that's too much and too many years. And then the city manager designee to execute a professional service agreement on-site computing for data conversion, not to exceed $780,000. this is a big one, you guys. This is a roughly what, almost $9 million investment. So I hope the council does enough of its due diligence in questioning um, what this is all for, how long, what the scope is, and not that I'm against it. I just think there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of oversight, especially because we're giving the city manager, who I support, but giving someone the ability to execute one $500,000 contract up for 7 years. So we'll see what council does with that one. And then the last item, which you guys have consistently been reaching out about and is a biggie, the discussion to provide direction regarding termination of the city attorney contract and immediately appoint an interim city attorney and evaluate appropriate city attorney services for the city, and discuss and provide direction to staff. So, I mean, that's literally, there is no other backup material other than this. And for all of you that are absolutely for this, which many of you have reached out, I ask you to do two things. One, come to the meeting tomorrow, sign up to speak, and let the council know that you support this. This is more than just a city council decision. I know it may feel like, because it really has evolved into this idea that the city attorney is this untouchable entity that only answers to the council. When true to form, everybody that's in City Hall answers to the people. And what many of you have expressed is a deep dissatisfaction with what we are retaining from BB&K, from Sonia Carvalho, from Tom Rice. And I agree with you, but you got to come. You have to speak up. You can email the council and let them know as well what exactly are your misgivings with this and what makes you not want them. And there are also many of you that have expressed it, professional wise. You guys are lawyers, you're judges, you're other elected officials. This is really important, because everybody up there represents one group or another. And we need to make sure that we're heard. Now, as the next council person of the 7th Ward, and you're going to hear me say this tomorrow, I absolutely support my councilman and who I'm going to take over for. I support him making this vote. I want him to vote to terminate this contract, because what I would like as the next council person is to be able to then sit down with my colleagues and create an RFP to bring in a new firm that we know is ethical, that is here for the city of San Bernardino and wants to do the right thing. So this is, I think, a pivotal moment for us. Rarely do we get this opportunity. It's been 6 years. And I think, for me, there have been so many standout moments where I'm like, how are they even still here today? And that's it. Like, this is your opportunity. Don't miss it. Come in at 5 o'clock, sign up and give your comment, and and let them know how important this is to you. I can't stress that enough, because it's not just the council that are being affected. I mean, as you guys see, the number of lawsuits that we are continually dealing with, and nobody, as we learned in the recall of 2013, is bigger than the city. No lawyer should ever feel like they have their thumb in control over the city or the council, because that's not what we're doing here today. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I hope this was just as informative for you as it was for me, and I will see you all tomorrow night. So have a great rest of your night.